Hello, hello, hello. This is my sixth time trying to record. Apparently, the last time I think the microphone wasn't plugged in correctly. There was no sound coming out. Anyways, so what I'm going to do today is review this series that I saw recently called Fate, or more completely, Fate, the Winx Saga. And what it is about is basically a blend of Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. I'll explain a bit what I mean by this. Now, before I continue, I am aware that there are other reviews, and I haven't seen any. Just judging by the title, they do seem to be a little bit negative towards the series. I don't know, but my personal take, as somebody who hasn't watched the Nickelodeon series, um, for those who are unaware, Winx Club was a uh, fairy child cartoon that was in I would say it was early 2000s when the show was running, and I personally never saw it. I wasn't the demographic and I wasn't interested in the series in any case. My niece, however, who was in elementary at that time, she was very much invested, and I want to say that for one birthday, it was fairy themed, and she had like the Winx characters in, and all that. Now, when I say that this is a blend between Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, I am trying to say that you have the magical elements. So you do have a school where people are coming to in order to learn how to control their powers, how to use them responsibly, uh, basically develop in within this magical realm, you could say. Now, according to the series, there are seven worlds, and well, not worlds. They call it kingdoms, seven kingdoms. And when we meet our main protagonist, she is we could say that she is not she doesn't belong where she is. So she's coming from this normal regular world that we live in, and there's no powers, no magic, everything is just fairy tales. When she discovers her powers, it actually is a very traumatic experience. It's a very traumatic awakening. The way it happens is she gets in a fight with her mother, they get into this big fight, the mother takes away her door. She feels very affronted by this, and late at night when they're supposed to be sleeping, she's up awake with this conflict inside, and all of a sudden a fire starts bringing out, and it flows towards the bedroom, her parents' bedroom, and there's a massive fire that consumes the house. The house gets burned, and that's how she discovers that she can do magic. Now, I will say this is not a comprehensive review. This series has 6 episodes in total. I am not going to do a play by play of each one. However, this is just my take and how I feel about the series. I did feel it was very enjoyable. And the reason why is that there is a story to it. There is a potential of where this is going. It's not just everything is daisies or everything is going bad. It doesn't take itself too seriously either. I mean, even in the first episode, um, the main protagonist starts joking around saying, well, if there's fairies, where's your wings? Oh, we're not Tinkerbell. So they don't take themselves too seriously, at least. Another thing I would point out is that if you're coming in from having watched the original Winx Club, uh, you're not going to see what you're expecting. This is not Winx Club, it's not a live adaptation. They might have gotten the characters and got inspired in certain elements. However, this is not the direct side by side adaptation of that cartoon series. And I say this because not only is this school meant as a college, so it's not high school or anything, it also deals with certain more mature elements. So you have drug use, sexuality. There's plenty of things that I would imagine it wasn't included in the children's or in the cartoon series meant for children. So if you're coming in with that mindset, you might be disappointed. But as long as you come in open that this is not going to be your childhood series, this is a different series on its own, you might enjoy it for what it is. When this all begins, she is coming to school after her traumatic experience, and they never show the scenes where gets in when she gets contacted by the headmistress of the school called Alfia, and how she gets explained that she's a fairy and all of this. However, you do get to see the reactions to the actions that were taken. So when she comes into the school, there is a secret that she wasn't told. It was kept away from her. And so everything that starts happening begins from that point of view that they were hiding things from her and she has to react. So she's reacting along the series of what she hasn't been told, what she finds out, she reacts to that. And then again, there's trust issues because of all the withholding of information, and she reacts even more. This is not to say that it's bad. It is actually a very interesting dynamic that is being played because even when the headmistress is not Dumbledore, again with the Harry Potter comparison, you can see that the headmistress tries to do as best she can, and the way that she knows, or the only way that she knows how, is by setting boundaries and trying to uh, take the students away from harm, which is very commendable because you can tell that she is loving, but she just doesn't express it. She's not a very affectionate person, but she does care. When we look at the characters that are involved, you do get a sense of this is probably from the series that they were all friends, and you do have oh the mean girl type that she's a mean girl at first, but then they become friends, and that's all right. I mean, not all friendships have a good start. Some of them will develop when you go through a mutual experience, and that leads you to become closer than you were before. You change your perspective, and so you become closer as a group. I know this is getting into the 10-minute mark, but if I might also add a little bit of what happens in the series. First of all, and this might not be considered a spoiler because they do reveal it at the first episode. Uh, Blossom, who is the protagonist, she is not human. Her parents are human, both are regular humans, no powers, but it's funny that she does have it. And what they reveal is that she is actually what is called a changeling, basically a fairy that was switched with a human baby in the real world. And the intention is that baby who has magic, because they're going to be in an unstable state because they have powers, they're surrounded by people that don't have powers, and there's going to be confusion and a lot of anger. Then the purpose is that that baby will explode and cause chaos with their powers, and that is what we don't see in this case. Well, at least with Blossom, that doesn't happen. So the question is, how is it that she has powers? Well, again, she's a changeling, and she does discover that although they don't know who the parents are, her parents, whom she lived with, they're not her parents. And what makes it even worse is that the parents, her human parents, don't even know that they are not her parents. They don't even know that she's not their daughter. That their daughter was actually switched. And that makes for an interesting and a potential well, it what this does is that by creating this mystery surrounding her parents, it can go one of two ways. And I can only guess it's leaning towards one route, just because of how the ending of the series was of season one, where she does this huge magical, uh, well, not firestorm, but she does produce this powerful magic in order to fight against the burned ones, who are kind of like these creatures that everybody's afraid of, that are similar to zombies, in which if they injure you, either like a cut, even if it's a cut, you get infected with the same and you become a burned one yourself. Uh, it's not revealed what is the origin per se, like how they're made, but you do see that they are made from people. It's not that they're like demons or anything like that. As I was saying, there's one of two routes. She can either be as gifted as she is. She could be the daughter of two very powerful fairies, or of one fairy, which is another thing. Quick side note: in this kind of magical world, keep on saying worlds, and it should be kingdoms. There are seven kingdoms, but they're all within the same planet, if that makes any sense. So when we talk about this kingdom that they're in, where Alfea, the school, is located, surrounded by a forest, again, very much like Hogwarts, and also like Percy Jackson, because there is a magical barrier to separate the monsters from coming into the school. And the way that I see this playing out, more likely, is that it could be revealed in season two that she is the daughter of these two very powerful magical beings. And for some reason, they were in this situation where she got taken away and switched with a human baby. We don't know what happened to a human baby, but we do know that there is that possibility that she is from a very powerful line of magical beings. Now, the two types of people that are going to the school are people, fairies. Again, not the traditional Tinkerbell fairies, but fairies in the sense that they have magic, and they can do basically anything they want with magic. However, when they first come in, they are first taught to master the magical element that they're associated with. So some will be more in tune with water. Some, like Blossom, are more in tune with fire. Some with air. Funny thing, you can control air. You can also produce electricity. I don't know how that works, but anyway. If anything, Avatar taught me that if you can control fire, you control lightning, electricity, because it's all energy. But that's kind of like a small gripe that I have. It's not that big of a deal. I just thought I would mention it. You could also control the earth, so the plants and the ground, that sort of thing. And you can have different abilities. There's this one person who he is his ability, his magic is with the earth, but his magical ability is to go through things. So he can go through inanimate objects. Kind of cool, right? Anyway, we wanted to do that. Especially in these times, you don't want to be touching doorknobs and everything. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. The reason I mentioned this is that, well, actually, I don't know why I mentioned that. I kind of forgot to mention that at the beginning. About the two types of people, you have the fairies, and you also have like the more warrior types, the specialists, who are gifted with combat and with using weapons. And so usually, or better yet, the way that they're trained is that eventually fairies and specialists get paired. So the fairies can do more of that powerful magical attack and even reconnaissance if necessary. But you also have that physical attack from the specialists who can protect the fairy in any case. Let's say if they need to charge up their magic to do an attack or do something, then they can focus on what they need to focus because the specialist is by their side. But as I was saying with the two different routes, Blossom can be the daughter of two powerful fairies, or they could take it into another direction. I've only ever seen this direction done in one book series called The Ranger's Apprentice, where the main character, and he was raised as an orphan, and basically that payoff was that, well, no. Yes, he has a lot of abilities and such, but his parents were just farmers. And even then, the way that his father died was as a farmer, and when they were called out and drafted for a war, he went into battle and died in battle. And that's kind of like the another route that I was thinking. Blossom could also be revealed to be just the daughter of regular magical folk who are not that powerful, but for some reason, she is powerful. I don't think that's the route they're going to take. I think they're going to go with, oh, her parents are like these very powerful magical beings that haven't been seen in a while. But it would be interesting if they took it on the route that she is powerful because of her. Her parents were not that powerful, but she is the one who is powerful, if that makes any sense. The series for me was good. Like I said, it's not the best. There are a couple of flaws and a couple of things that I really didn't care for. But if there is a season 2, I would watch it because it is pleasant enough. And if you go into this series thinking, oh, it's going to be like the Nickelodeon that was made for kids, well, you're going to be disappointed because it isn't the same series as the one that was made for kids. This one is its own, and I believe I had to look this up because I was interested in how that happened. It looks like they were inspired by the series with the characters and the magic, and I want to say a magical system, but I can't confirm that. But the writers themselves are actually from teen drama shows. So that would explain the weird things that they do with the plot. But hey, you know, it is a weird combination between these magical characters and everything, and then adapted with a very much, I don't know, Teen Wolf filter, if you want to call it that. So, if I had to give this a rating, I wouldn't. Not because it was bad, but simply put, when you rate things, it's very subjective. So what I will say is, if you have the time, just watch it with an open mind. That's not going to be the same series. And if you didn't see the series, then just go in and see if you like it. I would say it's one of those series that if you liked the first episode or if you liked the second, then you'll probably enjoy the rest of the series. And again, it's just 6 episodes. So in less than 6 hours, you've seen the whole thing. But hey, if anybody is ever watching this, just comment on what you thought about the series and how you thought it compared with the Nickelodeon series if you ever watched that. All right? Take care.